If you've watched a few of the previous videos, you've probably noticed that the paint job on my exhaust is not quite perfect. Now, I'm not convinced the paint job was particularly good on this exhaust when it came from the shop in the first place. However, I may or may not have dripped some brake fluid on it here and there, which made the problem considerably worse. So what we're going to do this week, we're going to rip the exhaust off, we're going to get it nice and clean and sanded down, and I've got some fancy high temperature paint for it as well. We're just going to give it a quick paint just to bring it back to the same level as the rest of the bike. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about a wee bit later in the video. When we're cleaning it, you can really see where the paint's kind of come off. So the first thing we've got to do anyway is get this muffler off. Really simple process. There's just one bolt here, so we just take that bolt out, and then the muffler itself's got little springs that hold it onto the pipe, so really easy to take that off. And the exhaust itself, again, really simple. There's just two bolts here that connect the exhaust into the engine, so it's just a case of removing those two bolts. And then there's also the little oxygen sensor doofer thing as well, and we just need to unscrew that as well. Like everything in this bike, it's a different spanner for the bolts than it is for the oxygen sensor. Honestly, I don't understand why they do this. Like, it feels like every screw and every nut and every bolt needs a different tool on this bike. And I know it's not just this bike, it's quite common to bikes across the board, but yeah, it's really frustrating. I work in IT myself, and there's been a program in IT to kind of try and standardize everything so you don't have that scenario, and like all the screws and stuff are the same, and you just kind of take it for granted. Now, it's absolutely wonderful, but it's so noticeable going back to something like this bike where everything's different. Anyway, the exhaust off, need to give it a clean now. Just needs a quick inspection from the site inspector to make sure everything's okay. So fingers crossed we're going to pass this. Looks okay so far. Yeah, and the site inspector is happy enough with that. Off she goes. So yeah, let's get the power washer out and get this thing cleaned. So using the kind of degreaser sort of soap mixture here, get this all over everywhere you can go, and then with the high pressure we're just going to remove that. A lot more of the paint actually came off with the high pressure here. Again, that's not necessarily indicative that it's a really bad paint job in the first place. This is high pressure after all, and you would expect it to take some paint off in some circumstances. But a lot more came off here, especially off the can. And a bit off the pipe as well. Again, you'll be able to really see it in a minute or two. And there we go now. You can see, especially down at the bottom of the can there, see all that silver when that paint's come off? And just look at the pipe. I mean, half the paint's off it. Now, the pipe, to be fair, as I said before, it did spill some brake fluid on that, and the brake fluid just strips that paint straight off. So that's why it's so bad. The can, not so much. I don't really know what to expect. It's the first exhaust I've ever bought, so maybe all exhausts are like this, but a little bit surprised that the paint isn't a little bit more durable. But not to worry anyway. I'm planning to get a new exhaust. There's that company called TEC. They released a video recently about all the different things that they've got for a scrambler, and one of the cool things they had in that video was an exhaust. Now, they haven't released it yet. I have been in contact with them, and apparently it's coming out at the end of December. So I'm going to get that whenever it comes out. This is just a little touch. Honestly, I'm a bit bored and just looking for the things to do in the bike. So this kind of came up, and I figured if I get it all wrong, it's not really going to matter because I'm going to get a new exhaust anyway. So, and also, a little bit of practice in terms of painting. I am considering painting the front mudguard black, which is currently silver. And also maybe the little silver ring that's around the headlight. If you look at like a Speed Twin, and the kind of higher end bikes, some of them have just got a full black headlight, and I think it looks really cool. So I might be going to do that in the future. I'm not really sure. Anyway, there's a wee bit of painting now. It was a nice little trial run. For the exhaust there, we're just going to mask some of these areas. We don't want to get paint on the nice silver bits of the exhaust. So we're just going to mask those off. I've also masked off the branding here. That turned out to be a bit of a mistake, unfortunately. There was no way of kind of blending that into the new paint on the can, and I ended up having to take that off and then doing a whole lot more respraying over the branding bit of it there so you couldn't see it. But as you can see here, the paint goes on really well. This is just a Halfords paint. It's nothing special or anything like that. It says it is appropriate for temperatures up to about 600 degrees. And the very hottest the exhaust gets just at the engine outlet's about 400, give or take. So should be absolutely fine. Goes on really easily. The key with painting anything like this is just to put on as little as you can at a time, and then come back half an hour later and do another layer as little as you can. Just keep doing it that way. And if you put on too much in one go, then it'll kind of drip and you'll get, you know, imperfections on the paint finish where the paint's kind of clumped up or it's kind of dripped down or something like that. So yeah, just as little as you can, loads of coats, and as little as you can at a time. And but yeah, you can see already it's coming out really well. I'm really impressed with this paint, to be fair. Like, this was a really easy process, this whole thing, and give me a bit of confidence in the future for the things that I'm going to paint going forward. So yeah, pretty happy with that. And there we go, the final result with the can. We'll just get this masking off, but look at that finish, it's absolutely fantastic. Really happy with this, you know. Again, look, it's not absolutely perfect. A wee bit of practice with something like this would definitely have a better result, but it's good enough for me, especially for the short-term nature of this. And you can see there, the finish is actually really nice. So I'm really happy with that. And now it's just a case of getting the exhaust back on. And as I said before, it was really simple to take it off. Also really easy to get it back on. Just a couple of screws that need whacked in there. The oxygen sensor. Because the oxygen sensor screws in, what it did was then twist it the other way that it screws, like 3 or 4 revolutions before I screwed it in, because obviously if you don't do that, then as you screw it in, it'll just get more and more twisted. So that's a little top tip for you. It's just to give it a few twists the other way so the wires don't get too twisted themselves. The can itself, super easy to get on. Just whack it on there and put the 2 little springs that hold it on. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Really, really easy. And yeah, you know, this whole thing's been really straightforward. This is probably the easiest thing I've done on my bike. Or maybe it's also, you know, I'm kind of getting used to doing stuff now. So, you know, things just feel a little bit easier because a little bit more experience. And there you have the final result. It's like a brand new exhaust. Not that it really matters because it's barely been out in the bike. The weather's absolutely rubbish here at the moment and the roads are covered in crap. And they're wet all day and your bike gets covered in crap. So I haven't really been riding that much. But yeah, nice to get this done, even if it is only a temporary thing. So that's all we've got for this week. Stay tuned for some cool stuff coming up. Thanks again for watching till the end. Take care, and I'll see you soon.